Hello and welcome to the Post to Post podcast. This is episode 5. Today I'm joined by Neil and Neil only.
I am alone. Well, you're here.
Well, I'm here. Basically, you are alone though. I'm just kind of here.
Yes.
Justin is not with us for this episode.
He's not. He's on vacation. He's taking a bit of a breather from work, and we haven't even really filmed anything recently. He's been away, so the channel has slowed down a little bit, and my dad stepped in and made a few little videos, few little clips. I'm going to film some more next coming days, and I'm not exactly sure when Justin's going to be back, but next week should pick up pretty good.
His shoulders are tired from carrying the load.
Exactly. He's the talent of the show.
he's a good source of information.
He's very clearly the more knowledgeable hockey person in this whole production.
So I will tell you right off the top that this episode is more than likely going to be less time than the other ones.
Yeah, probably half.
Yeah.
If we're super lucky.
Well, we'll see how it goes. And normally I create the intro before and after the episode. This time we're going straight into it. So what you hear is Neil and I talking on Saturday morning at about 9:49 a.m. So let's recap the Pittsburgh series.
Yeah, crazy.
Both you and I were both watching. I sent you the text after it was over. I just said one word: bummer.
Yeah, bummer indeed. I was recording myself watching the overtime.
I've seen that in one of those episodes. Yeah,
I knew it was coming. Obviously, I mean, it's overtime. Someone's got to score, and I wanted to get my reaction on camera. And I just, like, that play when it was going on in the Ottawa zone, I just knew. Like, I just had a bad feeling. And I think I may have said that. And then, boom, Kunitz scored, and it's just, so disappointing. But, I mean, the better team won. So.
And Anderson was totally screened, too. So, I mean,
he was by his own defense.
You feel bad for him.
Yeah.
People will say that they hate on us a little bit for being anti-Pittsburgh and being biased, I guess. And I'm not biased. I want to see something else.
Yeah, exactly. And that's all it comes down to. I mean, very happy for the players of Pittsburgh, very happy for their fans and the city. I mean, it's been great for hockey in the past, since Crosby came in the league. Even in the early 90s, they were about to go bankrupt, and Lemieux, Yager, and they won those cups and saved the city, kind of thing, and then they were going to go bankrupt again. And just before Crosby came in the league, I think there was rumors about that. And look at the city now; they got a new arena and one of the biggest fan bases in North America, probably. And that's
all because they tanked. Yeah. So if you're looking for the pro Pittsburgh angle, you're probably not going to get a lot of it today. We will be fair.
Yeah, I mean, we have all the respect in the world for what they do. I mean, they're clearly the best, if not.
They were the better team. There's no doubt about it.
They're the better team. And like you said, we don't hate Pittsburgh. We just want to see a new team, and more specifically, a new city and their fans be able to experience a cup run.
For example, Nashville. Like,
exactly.
I don't think neither of us are Nashville fans. Like, we didn't start of this year. We weren't like, yeah, go Nashville. I can't wait.
No, I mean, in my mid-season predictions that I made of what teams would make the Stanley Cup, Nashville wasn't even on my, like, I had them missing the playoffs in 9th, and
well, they were the 16th seed, so you weren't far off.
I wasn't far off, but they're the only team in the West I got wrong, and I really didn't think they were going to make the playoffs. And when they did make the playoffs and I made my bracket predictions, I'm like, okay, you fooled me once, but not this time. And I'm so happy that they've made it this far. And like you said, we're not really Nashville fans, but happy for the organization and their fans more than anything.
If Washington had beat Pittsburgh, and it would have ended up being Washington, Nashville, what side do you think you would have aligned with?
Oh, wow, that's a really, really tough one.
It is.
Because
see, the Ottawa angle is easy for us in a way, because you kind of want to see a Canadian team do it.
Yeah.
But I'm okay with Nashville too. I would be torn between an Ottawa-Nashville series.
I would too, because, I mean, it would be amazing to see PK Subban lift a cup. Mike Fisher, Pekka Rinne, he's coming to an end of his career here in the next couple of years. There's so many good stories on either side. It's going to be really tough. Mm-hmm. And if Washington made it, I don't know how you can't cheer for Ovechkin to win the cup. Just so he can say that he did it finally.
If Justin were here, I think he would cheer for Nashville.
He would definitely cheer for that. Although, you know what? When we did our rankings of favorite teams, I think Justin has Washington 4th or 5th.
Really?
Yeah, it's high. So I know he wants them to win a cup.
He just doesn't think Ovechkin is as great as everyone else seems to think he is.
Exactly, yeah. I think I'd have to cheer for Washington just based on Ovechkin, but probably any other team, Nashville, I'd have to choose for
cheer for Nashville. I think I'm the same way.
Yeah. It's easy for us to cheer for Ottawa, like you said, because they're Canadian and they have so many storylines. Anderson and MacArthur and Ryan and.
So a lot of the viewership of the channel and this podcast are actually from the States.
Yes.
So do you think it would have been the same way in reverse? Like, would they be cheering for Pittsburgh even though Pittsburgh's been there so much? Or do you think they'd be cheering for the I guess, underdog in the Senators?
I don't know. I'm not sure how Americans perceive this whole thing, because as Canadians, and I guess I've had this conversation with some Americans, they don't understand the mentality, or this person that I was talking to didn't understand the mentality of Canadians cheering for Canadian franchises, other Canadian franchises, just because they're Canadian. Like, I guess there's so many American franchises. There's 27 or 23 or whatever there is of them, or 24. And there's so few of Canadian franchises. So, and it's been so long since the Cup's been in Canada.
Yeah.
That's another part of it. It's been since 1993. It's been like 24 years or 25 years or whatever. It's been too long. And, I'm not a Toronto Maple Leafs fan, but if the Toronto Maple Leafs brought back the Cup to Canada, I would be thrilled.
Yeah.
I'd be jealous for sure as a Montreal Canadiens fan, but I would be thrilled as a Canadian, because it's to see a team go deep. It's not only great for Canada and TV viewers and stuff, but also financially for the cities and stuff. They make a lot of money off it, and when they make a lot of money, that's good for the Canadian economy, even if it's just a drop in a large pool.
Do you think Ottawa is, I don't know what the right word is, the least interesting Canadian team, like off the radar?
Oh, absolutely.
Because, Vancouver is just bad. But when they're good, they're good. Ottawa, to me, has always seemed like way off in the distance. Like, they're doing their own thing and no one's really paying attention to them.
Yeah.
Like, always.
Always, yeah. There's not, like, and it might have a little bit to do with location as well. There's pretty close to Toronto. There's, the Battle of Ontario and stuff. Whenever you see regular season games of Toronto playing in Ottawa, half the rinks is Toronto Maple Leafs fans.
Yeah.
And I think generally there aren't really a lot of Ottawa Senators fans in comparison to the other Canadian teams. Vancouver may be the exception, but we don't really see a lot of Vancouver fans on this side of the country, because Vancouver's literally on the other side of the country. And how often are we in BC? I've only been there twice in my life, or 3 times, and once when I was 5. Like, I don't, so yeah. I would say it might come down to the style of hockey they play too.
Yeah.
Because they're a little boring.
Yeah.
They play that 1-3-1 system. So
like, their whole tactic was to bore them out of the building for Game 7.
Yeah.
That's a direct quote.
And it is more boring than 90% of the styles that other teams play, but it's effective. That's why they're there. They overachieved because they stuck to a system, and like they didn't get there on talent alone, like Washington and Pittsburgh and stuff. They basically willed their way. They wanted it so bad that they just believed, and they stuck to the system. And yeah.
So do you think they're going to be there again next year, or do you think this was a blip?
I think that they might not make the playoffs next year. And I don't say that because like I don't like them. I like Ottawa. I just think that they overachieved this year, and they're so inconsistent. Even in the regular season, the last 20 games of the season, they didn't play well. And in the middle of the season, they were playing fantastic. They were chasing Montreal for the top seed in the Atlantic Division, and they almost took it. And for one split second, actually about 10 minutes, because of the way the games ended, Ottawa actually passed Montreal, and then Montreal won the game that they were playing at the same time, like 10 minutes later, and jumped them again in points. And then they never lost that position again. But, it was close. And Ottawa kind of just lost the steam in the last half of the season, or the last third of the season. And, some of the games, watching them in the playoffs this year, they were so inconsistent. It's just night and day, and I don't understand it. It's not going to change. They're going to play the same system. They're going to have a majority of the same roster next year. I don't know. Maybe this experience will help them move forward next year, but I don't know if they're going to make the playoffs next year.
And I don't either. Like I'm a Boston fan, so I follow Boston, and Ottawa is quite a bit ahead of us in the regular season, and then all of a sudden we're catching up, and then all of a sudden all those teams are there, and then they get a little bit of a head lead, and then they're caught up again. So I think that kind of shows your point exactly. They're up and down. And one thing that I found interesting in Game 7 is Chris Kelly and someone else had less than 3 minutes of game time in the regular or 3 periods.
Yeah, and that was his first game of the whole playoffs, I think.
So you're effectively running only 3 lines, whereas Pittsburgh, they're running all 4.
And they're deep. Like, Pittsburgh's deep. You know, Ottawa give them a hard time. It's amazing, really, when you think about it.
You know, I'll give my hats off to Ottawa, though. They were literally a shot away from going to Stanley Cup final.
Yeah, just a lucky bounce.
So
it's crazy.
Like Pittsburgh is obviously the better team. They won, and they looked better. But they were 1 shot away from not making it this year. Just a bad bounce.
Yeah, they had 2 opportunities to end it, and they, you know, luckily they came through in Game 7 overtime. But I mean, stressful.
And they've got injuries.
They've got a lot of injuries,
and they're facing going to be a Nashville team that also has injuries.
Exactly.
So, what do you think for the next series?
I don't really know. It's going to be interesting to see those 2 styles of hockey meet. Nashville's a much faster team than Ottawa, and you know, Pittsburgh's a fast team too. They play kind of the same style of hockey. Nashville utilizes their blue line a little more, but you know, Pittsburgh also has quite the staff back in the on their blue line, so it's gonna be a battle for sure. And you know, PK Subban's gonna be all over Crosby, and it's gonna be great. You know, they're friends off the ice, so it's gonna be entertaining to watch them on the ice. And you know, there's gonna be some other matchups too that'll be interesting to watch. And Fleury leaving and Matt Murray coming in, it still does not sit right with me. Even I mean, I'm not saying it's the wrong decision. It's just I don't think Fleury deserves to sit on the bench. I mean, he had 1 bad half of a first period, and he hasn't played since. And you know, Matt Murray's not a bad goalie. He's obviously very, very good. He won the Stanley Cup last year when he wasn't considered a rookie. This year, it's his technical rookie year, and he could win the Stanley Cup again. I don't think that's ever happened.
So when Justin was here on, I think it was 2 podcasts ago, he said that he thought that Fleury may be the MVP. So far, because of how well he kept the team in. So it's obviously that Pittsburgh's going to protect Murray.
Yeah, they have to. He's the future.
So does that mean that Vegas is almost guaranteed to take Fleury as their goalie from Pittsburgh?
I don't know. I think they might. Move him. There's rumors of Calgary.
Really?
Yep. I mean, Fleury's reaching the end of his career, but if he went to Calgary, Elliott left, I would say that Fleury probably has the net to himself for the next 2 to 4 years to round off his career. And there's been a lot of rumors of that. So, you know, we'll see. I'm not sure what Vegas is going to do for a goalie. They've got a lot of options. I know that. I mean, they Antti Ranta and the Rangers.
Do you think they might look at a Bernier or something like that?
Probably not. I wouldn't put it past them.
Like Toronto tried it. It didn't work out.
Yeah, I know that Antti Ranta is ready to be a starter. I think he's the best backup in the league after Scott Darling. His contract ended this year. If New York doesn't trade him, I think Las Vegas is going to be all over him. That's my goalie prediction for Vegas.
So I have a question for you, but I don't know if you can answer it. When do contracts end? Like if your contract ends, let's say this year for this past season, and then you go into free agency and the trades in the summer, can you trade someone that's not signed yet? Like are they still technically on your roster until the season starts?
You can trade, like if I'm a UFA this year, then you can trade me up until
July 1st?
July 1st. Yeah.
And then after that they can't.
They don't own your rights anymore.
Is the draft before that or after that?
The draft is before that. It's at the end of June.
Okay.
I think it's like June 24th or June 23rd.
So any free agent goalies that will be up this year, they could be picked by Vegas before they actually go into free agency.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's why we're going to see some backdoor deals and some trades.
I guarantee you that's going on right now.
And it's going to be so interesting because, I mean, this has kind of never happened before. I mean, it has, but not in recent years. I mean, the last time that there was something like this, we were pretty young.
Yes.
So, and we didn't really care. I don't think at that point.
No.
Right? It's going to be really exciting. I think I'm more excited for that than I am the Stanley Cup playoffs, or the finals. Sorry, the finals, which is probably sounds ridiculous, but I kind of probably like you. I like the back end deals and the finances and the contracts and stuff like that. So it's going to be interesting to watch for sure. And I think we're going to see some shockers. I think we're going to see some big shockers.
I hope we do.
Yeah, and some last minute ones too. It's going to be exciting, but the draft and then the build up to the free agency day. That week or week and a half, it's gonna be delicious as a hockey fan, and I'm excited to make some videos about it and chat about it on this podcast when that time comes.
Is there a possibility of a live stream reaction?
I hope so. It's all going to depend on a few things. I kind of mentioned this in the live stream that we did last time, but I'm going to be out of work soon. My company, as you know, I guess I'll let everyone at home know, my company has downsized their budget and there were lots of people let go. And unfortunately, I was one of them. So I'm being let go as of Tuesday coming up and I don't have any job. And my lease runs out my apartment at the end of next month. So I don't have anywhere to live. So I might have to move back to Prince Edward Island. And if that's the case, then I'll be out June 30th. And if the live stream is July 1st and free agency day, I'm going to be technically homeless. So I might have to crash on a couch on July 1st for the day after I move out. But that's the plan so far. Yeah, it would be very advantageous for the channel to live stream during that moment in time. So, and we did the live stream on the trade deadline day, and people loved it because there's people in Europe who don't have access to watch some of this stuff, and they like to tune in to a bunch of amateur goofs on YouTube, and they can interact with us and stuff like that. So it's fun for us and it's fun for the viewer.
And a lot of people are at work or whatever too, so they can't follow it. So
yeah, if you're an American, you have to work that day. If you're Canadian, the majority of us have that day off because July 1st is Canada Day. It's a holiday, so it's going to be an interesting day. July 1st is always great in Canada because, like I said, it's the holiday, usually a holiday for most people, and then it's free agency day, and then there's Canada Day celebrations and stuff, fireworks during the night. July 1st is always a good day in Canada.
In the last live stream we did with the trade deadline, we had people coming into the channel that were new to the channel.
Oh, absolutely.
Chat. And now there's quite a bit of a following going on. So I think that if there was a live stream for free agency, I think you're going to start seeing a lot of these regulars pop in just like we did kind of last time.
Yeah, the first time we did a live stream on trade deadline day, I think the channel had 45 subscribers or 46, something like that. And by the end of the live stream, 7 hours and 20 minutes later, I think the channel jumped to 64 subscribers or something like that. So just, people just come across it and, generates new subscribers. And it's when we did their live stream last weekend. Yeah, it was last weekend. There's some familiar faces in there, and I hope we see those familiar faces again in the next one. It's interesting.
I want to talk about Eugene Melnyk again.
Oh, let's please talk about Eugene Melnyk.
There's already a video on the channel about let's talk about Eugene Melnyk.
Yeah.
But it just seems this is the guy that just keeps on giving. So
Eugene Melnyk, friend or foe?
If you're a media guy, you like him because he leaks stuff that he's not supposed to leak.
Exactly, and he's entertaining.
He announced, or he let mention of the expansion before anyone knew or were supposed to know. He was talking on Primetime Sports, and John Shannon was on there with him. And as soon as he said that, John and Bob's mouth just opened wide, like, huh? Did he just say what I think he said?
Yep.
And then they didn't know whether to question him on it. And then after 10 minutes, John Shannon was just like, are you telling us there's going to be, an expansion team? And then Melnyk, of course, backtracked well, no, because he was talking about all the financial difficulties of, having the next team brought into the league. But as a fan, he's not a great owner, I don't think.
No, I've heard rumors recently of him going into the Ottawa Senators dressing room after a game and absolutely ripping the players.
Really?
Tearing them a strip because of their performance or whatever. I don't know. As an owner, I don't think you should do that. I think that's crossing the line.
I think as an owner, you hire people to run things and you stay out of it.
Exactly. You're an owner. It's literally a business.
If you have a problem with the team, you take it up with the people in charge of running that team, and then they deal with the players.
Yeah, you have a whole board there, and then you have management, and then you have
the coach,
and
then assistant coaches. there's a lot of channels to go through.
Yeah,
ownership to dressing room. I'm not down with that.
The owner should interact with the players during events and stuff like that. If you're having a charity event or something like that. The owner's going to be there. If you're having a team Christmas celebration party or something like that, all the teams have those stuff. They have Halloween parties and stuff, and sometimes we get to see pictures of the behind the scenes stuff. Stuff like that.
Or the end of the season, going in and just congratulating them and thanking them for their hard work.
Exactly. Yeah, and Eugene Melnyk is, I don't know. He's very conceited. He's very conceited. He basically ripped the fans in the hockey world because they were blaming him for the lack of attendance in Ottawa.
So let's talk about that. So I don't know if in the States or not, if this has been much of a big story or not. But up here, obviously, quite a few of the playoff games for the Ottawa Senators have not been sold out at home. Can you think of any other team in the league at a home playoff game that would not sell out? Any team?
You know, I'm thinking of teams with low attendance like Florida.
I think Florida would sell out because they were selling out.
When they made the playoffs a couple years ago, sold out.
I think Buffalo would sell out if their team was competitive.
Buffalo would, oh my God, Buffalo would go crazy. That city, they've got I think the most loyal fan base is Buffalo Sabres fans.
Yeah.
They've been through the ringers. They've been through so much crap. And I feel absolutely terrible for them. If they made the playoffs, that place would be so loud.
So name a place that would not sell out.
I don't think I can.
You can't.
I don't like. I want to say Phoenix, but honestly, I think even if Phoenix made the playoffs,
Arizona.
Sorry, every time.
I have to correct you when you do it.
Every single time.
What about Carolina? You think Carolina would sell out? I think Carolina would sell out.
Yeah, I think Carolina would sell out.
So
definitely.
People have been blaming the fans. People have been blaming the owner.
Mm-hmm.
People have been blaming the location,
the weather, floods.
See, I talked to you about this a little bit, like on, I think, texting.
Yeah.
To me, this comes off as the Ottawa Senators as an organization not marketing the product, which is the team, properly.
Absolutely.
And that includes everything from, I guess, the location, but ticket prices, parking prices,
yep,
and, value for dollar. I don't think that you can be mad at a fan for not going to all the home games when you're spending $300 or $400 per game.
Yeah, I can't imagine being an Ottawa Senators fan, living in Ottawa, and feeling obligated to go and support the team, and then seeing the ticket price of $400 for a crappy seat.
And then find out the parking was just jacked up by $10 or $20.
Exactly. Like, I can't even imagine. Like, I don't have that kind of money. Like,
so Eugene Melnyk comes out last week, a couple days ago, and basically releases this written press release saying that it's not fair to blame him for the problems of the team's attendance, and that he had a quote saying that because they weren't sold out, it was disturbing. And I'm not buying that at all.
No, not at all. He's there to make money. He's the decision maker in the majority of the finances and the ticket prices and the parking, like you said, and everything. He's not there to I mean, he's there to as a fan too, I guess, but he's there to make money, and that's all it comes down to.
And he's talking about how he's been, paying the salaries, and he's been working towards the cap, and he's done everything he can off the ice to try to make the product on the ice better, and that the city should respect that. And I don't like it when owners come out like that.
No, it doesn't paint them with a good image.
If you're the CEO of a company and you have a poor quarter, you don't come out in your press release and start blaming other things.
Yeah, exactly.
You talk about ways you're going to improve.
Eugene Melnyk has no accountability whatsoever, and it's a problem.
It's like you said, there's not a whole lot of owners that in the league, the names of, right off the tip of your tongue.
I can probably name 5. Other than that, I couldn't name any, because they're doing their job effectively. They're owners. They have other people to manage that stuff. They're there to make the big decisions, the big, probably financial decisions and stuff, and be at those events and stuff like that. And otherwise, they sit back and relax and enjoy. And
do you think the Ottawa Senators are having a problem like Buffalo are having, where their ownership are interfering too much?
Absolutely.
Because if you look at Ottawa's been really hard on coaches too. They've, like, Brian Murray has let a lot of coaches go. They don't seem to get very long tenures in Ottawa either.
Oh my God, I think we've seen probably 6 coaches in Ottawa in the past 15 years.
It's kind of like,
maybe more.
It's kind of like a side of Buffalo in a way. It's just ownership getting in the way instead of hiring the right people to do the right job.
Yeah, absolutely.
And do you think being loyal to former players like Alfredson, or maybe even Brian Murray, who's been there so long, do you think that's the right move to keep guys in there and being loyal to them? Or do you think, obviously if the team's having problems, you should be looking at other management options or people to bring in?
I don't know, because we saw the clips of Alfredson up in the press box there, and I don't know his title in the team. Do you? Because I don't know what he's doing, and I'm not saying he's not qualified. I think
he's in some sort of advisory role. That's kind of how they bring people in. They create new titles and new positions. And I think the long-term goal is to move them into something more permanent, but they have to learn that side of the business.
I mean, Steve Yzerman, we see it with.
Steve Yzerman has done a fairly good job, though, I think.
He has a very, very good job. And, there's other guys, too. I mean, actually, majority of the guys in these roles were former players.
Mm-hmm.
And Claude Julien,
mm-hmm.
he played hockey. Mark Bergevin played hockey. It goes on and on. A lot of the younger fans won't know this, but Bruce Boudreau played hockey. Like, all these guys played hockey at one point, usually. And like I said, the younger fans won't really know this.
So I have a couple sheets printed off. People can't see this, obviously, because it's not recorded. It just has the coaches and the general managers on here. There are only 8 general managers in the league that do not have a professional career playing hockey. And that includes the Vegas Knights. So 8 of the 31 GMs are just totally business related. And then the other guys have all at least played professionally, which is pretty interesting.
It's very interesting. And just going down the list here, I mean, yeah. Garth Snow, Joe Sakic, Ron Hextall. These are big names. Doug Armstrong. These are big hockey names.
I'm just going to take this a little bit to the side. I'm going to list the 8 guys that do not have pro careers. So Stan Bowman, obviously very good.
The son of the great
yes,
Scotty.
John Chakya, I've never even heard of him, to be honest with you.
No, I haven't either.
Chuck Fletcher.
I've heard the name, but I don't know much about him.
Ray Sherrill, obviously heard that name.
Yep.
Jeff Gorton, Pierre Dorian, Doug Armstrong, Lou Lamoriello. Out of those 8 guys, who do you think's the best out of all of them? To me, I would think it'd be a toss-up between Stan Bowman and Lou Lamoriello.
Yeah, I want to say Stan Bowman, but I'm going to say Lou Lamoriello because of what he's done early in his career.
Yeah, and I think that if Chicago was still playing right now, I think that would also affect it.
Yeah, I mean, no knock on Stan Bowman. Look at Chicago right now.
Yeah.
Probably the most impressive.
His team finds replacements every year.
It's incredible.
Out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And they fill in perfectly.
I don't understand. I've never seen anything like it. Maybe in other sports, maybe in something like the NFL or something like that, but not in hockey. You never see that.
Like, even if you're not a Chicago fan, you have to appreciate what that front office does every year.
I don't get it. And they do it quietly, too. They're always ranked so high.
It's like Panarin. Panarin came out of nowhere. Now everybody knows Panarin.
Exactly.
Like, who's Panarin? Oh, I know who Panarin is.
Yeah, everyone's heard the name now. He had a great year.
Like, their scouting staff is probably one of the best in the league.
Yeah, I don't. They have holes to fill. Like, they lost Scott Darling recently. Mm-hmm. I think their new backup goalie, technically on paper, his name's like Jeff Glass or something like that. He's 31, I think. I think he's played 1 NHL game in his career. I think he played in the Europe or something like that last year. I don't think that's gonna gel with the Chicago organization moving forward with Crawford. They're gonna need to solidify their backup there. So it's gonna be really interesting to see what they do, to see who they have in the system to bring up, to see what kind of deal they can make there. I'm sure it'll be magic as usual coming out of Chicago and their management.
I think both of us kind of think that, I'm switching topics again, that Ottawa may not make it next year.
Yeah.
Who do you think is the best chance for a Canadian team to go long-term next year? And do you basically make the same prediction you made this year?
This is really tough because, like, Vancouver's out of the picture, unfortunately.
Do you think Edmonton has a better chance next year than they did this year?
Next year, yes, absolutely. Because I think the biggest thing that the Edmonton Oilers were missing was experience, and they got it this year. And going into next year, they're going to know what it takes to reach that next level of, I don't know the word I'm looking for, but competitiveness, I guess. Yeah, I think I'm just going to go through each team. So Vancouver, no, because they're just, the Scenes are coming to the end of their career.
And basically what you're asking yourself is, of the team you pick, are they going to be better than they were next year?
I think Vancouver will be better than they were last year. They've got, some Bo Horvat is incredible. They've got a few other young guys too, but they have a lot of decisions to make. So I don't think Vancouver's going to be competitive for the next couple of years. And then we have Calgary. If they can solidify their goaltender, I think they'll be definitely teasing at the idea of a playoff run. But until they get that goaltender situation figured out, I'm going to say no.
I wouldn't be betting on them.
No. I think I'm going to skip Edmonton for a reason. Winnipeg, I really like Winnipeg's lineup. I like the style of hockey they play. I like the system they use. They just need a goaltender. It's kind of like Calgary. If Winnipeg can solidify a goaltender, man, that'd be a scary team, but I'm not going to pick them because I don't know what they're going to do. Mm-hmm. Toronto, still a lot of young guys. I think they'll make the playoffs next year. I would probably bet money that the Toronto Maple Leafs would make the playoffs next year. However, I wouldn't pick them to be the next Canadian team to go on a run. Ottawa, like we've already discussed it, too inconsistent. And Montreal, for probably the same reasons, too inconsistent. You have Carey Price, but if you can't score goals, you can't win games. And
I think that's the main reason a lot of people pick Montreal to be playoff contenders is because they have the best goalie.
Exactly.
But he doesn't have the people in front of him.
He doesn't have the supporting cast up front, and Montreal will never win a cup until they actually get a few solidified goal scorers and consistent ones. They can't rely on Max Pacioretty because he doesn't show up in the playoffs. Unfortunately, I like the guy, but he just doesn't do it. So I mean, Montreal's my favorite team, and I wouldn't even bet that they would win the cup next or even make the playoffs next year. So they're out. So I'm going to circle back now to Edmonton, and yeah, they would be definitely my pick to go all the way. They have the goaltender, they have the forwards. They need a little bit of work on their blue line, and maybe a little bit of work up front too. But overall, I think they're pretty set in stone, and it's going to be exciting to watch the next year for sure.
In general, what conference do you think has the easier path for a Canadian team to get to the final?
Oh, right now, probably the Atlantic. 3 of the 7 teams in the Atlantic Division are Canadian. Statistically, that's the easiest, and also competitively, if we look at Florida this year and Detroit this year and Boston this year. Mm-hmm. Next year, Detroit will be better. I still don't think they're going to make the playoffs. Tampa will make the playoffs, although I said that last year. So who knows? I don't think Florida's going to make the playoffs next year.
There were people that had Tampa winning the whole thing this year, like professional people.
Doug McLean.
Yeah.
Doug McLean picked the Tampa Bay Lightning to win the cup this year.
But I mean, they were without Stamkos too, so.
Yeah.
Kind of a small detail.
Exactly. So, yeah, I think the Atlantic Division is the easiest for any Canadian team to be in.
And I agree that I think Edmonton has the best chance. I also think they have the toughest path to get there.
Absolutely.
Which kind of, in a way, sucks if you're a Canadian fan wanting a Canadian team to win. But even with that tougher path, I still think they have the best odds.
I think there's a statistic that a California team has won that division title. I think
since 2009, I think.
Yeah, it's been like 8 years, 7 or 8 years, or something crazy like that.
Which is crazy.
So that's hockey's strong in California. As crazy as it is to say that, those teams have always been competitive the past 7 or 8 years. All 3 of them, really, minus LA this year. They almost made it, but. It's nice to see success in hockey markets that you didn't think would necessarily thrive, but it sure makes it tough for teams like Edmonton and Calgary who are stuck in that division.
So let's do some predictions here.
I like predictions.
Everybody likes predictions.
Yeah.
And we're usually wrong.
100%.
So it's fun to do.
Always wrong.
Give me the prediction in games. Who wins? How many?
Nashville versus Pittsburgh. Who wins in how many games? I really want to say Nashville in 6, but I don't think I can. I think I'm going to say Pittsburgh repeats in 7. I think it's going 7 games and Pittsburgh's going to win. Ooh, I don't want to say that.
Mine's even worse than yours.
Uh-oh.
I think it's going to be Pittsburgh in 6 or 5.
Oh, snap.
And I don't want that.
No, I don't.
I want to see Nashville come out and hammer them, but I don't know. I think Pittsburgh's they're just too deep. And this is Nashville's first time getting this far. It would be an amazing achievement if they're able to pull it off, and I'd be so happy for them, but I just don't see it.
No, I want them to win so bad it's not even funny.
And when you think about, Pittsburgh versus Ottawa or Pittsburgh versus Nashville, I would say Nashville would have a better chance, and that series went 7, but for whatever reason, I don't think it's going to go that long. I'm thinking 5 or 6 games. Probably 6, but maybe 5.
It's going to be exciting to watch regardless of who wins and how many games. It's going to be a really exciting series.
Actually, I want to mention a comment. I don't know if you've seen this. The cheapest ticket for the Nashville home games is $59 more expensive than the most expensive ticket in Pittsburgh.
What?
And that's because it's their first time getting that far.
Yeah.
So it's new.
They're trying to reap the rewards
and
financially.
And people are paying them.
Dang.
But $59 more expensive than the most expensive Pittsburgh ticket.
That's really
for the absolute nosebleed cheapest ticket.
That's really unfortunate.
In Nashville. That's
really, really unfortunate.
It sucks for the fans that have to pay. But I wonder if like this is all because like celebrities are going to be moving in and.
Oh, I mean, yeah. Look at the national anthem.
Yeah,
they've had celebrities for every game so far. I think. I know that Nashville has a great outdoor.
I read this morning that they're going to be blocking off part of the city.
Yeah.
For games 3 and 4, I think it is.
Yeah.
And those are going to be dedicated to just purely watching game parties, which is good because that's a ridiculous amount of money to spend for a nosebleed ticket.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I don't know how much people in Nashville make. I know how much I make where I live, and it is nowhere near the ticket prices of those.
No, I couldn't justify that.
No.
I was contacted, actually, by a Nashville fan, and they sent me pictures of I guess the block party might be the correct way to say that. I'm trying to find them.
Kind of like what Toronto has outside for the Raptors and Maple Leafs games?
But way bigger.
Really?
Yeah, I don't want to show you the picture. Maybe I can't do that on my phone, but
I think when I was reading the article online, it sounded like it was a fair amount of street being blocked off.
It's huge. It's pretty crazy. I don't know why I can't look at my messages here, but
that's good though.
I'll have to show you.
All right.
Do you remember when the Fredericton Canadians used to be here?
Yes.
Do you remember how much the tickets were?
Nope.
Obviously, there's, this is a different era kind of, and things were less expensive.
They were cheap.
Yeah, they were cheap, really cheap. And I think that's probably the situation around the AHL, as the Fredericton Canadians were in the AHL. But there's a pretty steep, incredible margin for tickets going up to the NHL. It's crazy because I'm going to use the Buffalo-Toronto situation. So when Toronto plays in Buffalo, you always see a lot of Toronto fans because they cross the border and they drive down. It's only like a 45-minute drive or an hour drive or something like that. I don't know. And the tickets are so cheap. You can get a ticket and a hot dog and a parking for $20 or something like that. It's insane.
When we were in Niagara, it was 4 tickets, 4 hot dogs, 4 pops, and 4 popcorns for $42. And it was like, how could we not do that? But we didn't do it. But that's unheard of.
I don't understand it.
Like, we live in Fredericton and we have the UNB team here, which is a university team.
Yeah.
You don't get tickets to that game for $10. They're probably a little bit more than that. Not a whole lot.
Yeah, but
we're talking about an NHL game.
Yeah.
If you average it out, $10 for the ticket and then 3 food items.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
If I went to Harvey's right now and got 4 hot dogs, it'd probably be about $14 or $15.
It'd be more than to go watch the Buffalo Sabres play a game on the weekday.
Exactly.
With 3 different food items.
Yeah. We could go watch, I don't want to say crappy UNB team, but crappy in comparison to Buffalo, clearly.
Mm-hmm.
We could go to Harvey's, get 4 hot dogs, buy 4 UNB tickets, and I guess parking's free. But it would be probably twice as expensive to go see a UNB game with 4 people than it would be to go see a Buffalo Sabres game with 4 people.
Doesn't that make you jealous of markets in the States where the tickets are so cheap?
Oh, you have no idea.
Like, I would be all over that if they had something like that here. But they never would have something like that here. The demand would be too high.
Yeah, hockey's too crazy in Canada for that. But I mean, if we hop the border again and go back to Toronto, ticket prices are crazy. I went to a Toronto game this year. I sat at the very top, literally like the very top, only a few rows from the actual like back wall of the top. It was $89 plus tax. And in Canada, at the ACC, that's a pretty good price. I was happy with that price.
That's way less than I thought you were going to say. I thought you were going to bust out like $100 and some figure at me.
I was very, very pleased with $89. I had a great time, and I didn't mind watching the game from that high. But those poor suckers down along the glass paying $450, $500, probably on a good day, to see a game in the ACC. Man, oh man, I wish I was rich, because that'd be nice. But there's probably not even a ticket in the Buffalo rink for $450. You could probably get a whole press box with free food and a butler for $450.
It just makes me so jealous. Like, not only can we not go to games regularly because there's nothing around where we live, the 2 closest teams are basically Toronto, Montreal, which are also probably the 2 most expensive places in Canada to go watch games.
Yeah, absolutely. The closest NHL city to us is Montreal, Oh, no. Would it be Boston, actually? Geographically?
I'm not sure.
I think they're maybe about the same distance.
They're pretty close. I think they're both about 8-hour drives from here.
About 8 hours. But I mean, if you...
Boston is quite expensive as well, though.
It is. Almost maybe even more expensive.
I think it is more when you factor in the conversion.
Oh, yeah.
Plus the hotels and stuff. Whew. Neil and I have tried a few times to plan a trip to Boston to go watch a Boston Habs game.
For whatever reason.
You can't.
Boston hotels are insane.
You're looking at $300 some a night for average.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I guess Boston's got a lot going on and they can charge those prices, but...
Yeah. I don't know if Americans realize the difference in Canadian dollar value to American. If you don't, I mean, if we go down to the States and I have $100 Canadian, that gets me about $74 American.
Mm-hmm. And that's not counting the bank taking their fee, so it's probably more like 72. If I was an American, I'd be booking it to Canada for a vacation this summer. Absolutely.
Oh, if you're an American listening to this right now, you want to take your family on vacation, come to Canada. Like
dollar for money, it's unbelievable.
You'd be raking in.
Like, we have a friend who lives in Texas, and we've been yelling at him for a while. Like, you can't beat, like, go to the Rockies, go wherever. There's so many nice places in Canada to go to, and you can do it on the cheap.
On the major cheap. I would recommend Prince Edward Island because I'm 100% completely biased, and even if I'm not biased, Prince Edward Island is amazing.
Like 25% of your money automatically just, you have $100, all of a sudden you've got 125.
Yeah.
And I mean, stuff doesn't really, I mean, some stuff does cost more up here, but like other stuff is relatively the same, like the cheaper stuff. So like hotel prices is generally the same. Like if you find a $70 hotel in Canada, generally speaking, you'll find the same one for $70 in the States.
Yep.
Depending on the city. Like if it's a big city, obviously it costs more, but
gas is more expensive up here.
Way more expensive.
Yeah.
Milk's more expensive.
Milk is more expensive. Absolutely, milk's more expensive. Cheese is crazy.
Restaurants are more expensive.
Yeah.
Like I remember when we went into Subway that one time. We're getting way off topic here, but you get a foot-long sub for $4.99 or whatever, and it's just like, whoa, like that costs you $11 in Canada.
Oh my God. Same with a 20-pack of nuggets from McDonald's.
Yeah.
A 20-pack of nuggets from McDonald's is like $12 here.
Yeah.
You can get it for what? Like,
I think it was $4.99. I don't know if that's the regular price, but when we were down there, that's what it was $4.99.
Yeah, like I don't really know how much cheaper gas is down there, but as a reference, if you're an American, I drive a truck, Ford F-150. It costs me $130 to fill the tank. It is a 130-liter tank, but still $130. I would be interested to see what an American pays with the same vehicle down there for gas.
I think they pay high twos or low threes. I think it's high twos a gallon.
Gallons, yeah.
So 4 liters. So basically they pay half what we pay.
Man. Crazy.
Everything is a little bit cheaper down there because of no health care.
And phone plans.
Yeah.
We get screwed in Canada for phones. I pay like $99 plus tax for my phone.
Yep.
My cell phone. Talking about cell phones. And I think there's so much competition down there that everything's cheaper.
One thing I will say that's better in Canada is the network infrastructure. Our high-speed internet is significantly better than down in the States.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And this is getting way off topic, but I think Fios was the first fiber company in the States, because I remember when our buddy from Texas first got it, he let me know. And then we had our start with Bell.
Yep.
And actually our city was the first place in the country that got it. And then they expanded it everywhere else. And we don't have, like, I think out west they have caps, but where we live, there's no caps.
Yeah,
there's no throttling. Like down in the States, all you hear is Comcast this, Comcast that.
Yep.
And we don't have to deal with any of that. So that's one nice thing. I guess.
It's definitely pluses.
The price we pay is way high, though.
It is. It's pretty ridiculous.
You got basically 3 companies basically running the thing. And every time one price goes up, the other 2 don't go up. So
yeah,
I'm not saying there's collusion, but I think there might be collusion.
Yeah. And the city that we live in, Fredericton, and correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't this the first city in the world to have citywide Wi-Fi?
Yeah, it might have been.
Because it was like maybe not 20 years ago.
It was definitely the first one in Canada.
Yeah. I think it was definitely the first one in Canada.
Yeah, basically if you were anywhere downtown or uptown, you could connect to Wi-Fi anywhere. And this was...
It's like 15 years ago.
This was a long time ago, yeah.
Yeah.
Like early 2000s.
Yeah, early 2000s.
Yeah.
Pretty crazy to think about, really.
Yeah.
I mean, it's called the Freddy Zone?
The Fred E Zone, yeah.
It's still not good.
No.
It wasn't good back in the day. It's still not good.
It's slow.
Yeah. I mean, what can you expect, really? It's a citywide Wi-Fi.
And you had a lot of people who lived in that downtown
Leeching
quarter,
it.
basically using that as their own internet. So of course it's going to throttle it a little bit. But anyways, I think that's a pretty good conversation for now.
Yeah, we got off topic a little bit, but I think it's interesting because we do have American listeners, so they are probably always curious about Canadian things, and we're always curious about American things. So,
and that's part of the podcast too, is just
loose.
You talk about stuff, and if it takes you somewhere, it takes you somewhere. So
yeah.
So we'll wrap that one up here. Hopefully we'll get Justin back. His chair is empty over there, and it's
sad.
It's not quite the same without him.
No.
I'm sure this would have been one of the episodes he would have loved to be on.
I mean, his team just went on to the Stanley Cup Finals, so I'm sure he had lots to say.
Yeah, this is the only thing that would be better than this one would be if Pittsburgh does in fact win it, or if they lose it, he would have lots to say. So hopefully we'll get him back, and thank you for listening. If you have any feedback for us, hit Neil up on Twitter at PostToPostShow. YouTube.com/post-to-post. That's where all the videos are. Check those out. Subscribe and like them if you like them. There's tons of stuff going to be coming up in the coming weeks, I believe.
You know it.
And if you want to write an email to Neil, it's posttopostShow@gmail.com. Thank you, Neil, for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
All right.
I appreciate you hosting this podcast on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
Taking a lot of weight off my shoulders.
Well, not really.
And Justin, if you're listening, we miss you, buddy.
Yeah, Justin, it's not the same without you. We need you, buddy.
Yeah, you're the talent, so hope to see you soon.
You're the glue that keeps it all together.
Exactly.
And thanks, guys, for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks. See you guys.